Indian Women Professionals is a group meant for Indian women, helping other Indian women with career choices, mentorship, leadership, and entrepreneurship. We aim to influence people to think critically about their career and reaching their fullest potential. As they say, your network is your net worth, and you are the sum of the five people you spend time with the most. So the network and the people you spend time with matters. It shapes your opinions, it shapes your ambitions, and inevitably it shapes your future. And I say this every single time. And even if I repeat myself, I think it's true, and it's worth its weight in gold. So, Rina, welcome. Rina is an executive with a deep background in corporate finance, having worked at large corporations like eBay and Intuit, and who has now pivoted into the world of biotech. And we're here to hear all about her journey. And I know Rina personally, and I know her as a wonderful friend. So, thank you, Rina, for joining us.
Very happy to be here. Thank you so much. And just so everyone knows, it says Dia on my screen. It's just a known technical issue.
That's okay. We all have those. So,
You
Rina,
can call me Dia. Go ahead.
let's start right at the very beginning, right? I'd love to know, in order to connect with our audience and in order to really, for everyone to feel like, hey, this is another woman like us, tell us a little bit about your background and how you grew up and, some of the little things that you saw growing up.
Sure, yeah, I am very much a mainstream Indian girl born in the very late 1960s in a family where both my parents were youngest among their siblings. So it was still early days of independent India, just like 30 years in. Um, no, only 20 years in. And so I was part of eight, um, 10 cousins on one side and literally four cousins on the other side. And on the four cousins, my mom's side, I was the only girl. But growing up, and the theme that you will see emerging in my career, and as I'm sure a lot of you can associate and relate with, is I never really paid any attention to that gender ratio. And so therefore, I went to the similar good schools. I went to like one of those convent schools in India, in Lucknow. And then after that, we moved to Dehradun, and I went to one of the better private schools in Dehradun called St.
I
Joseph's
came and
Academy.
reminded you nobody seemed to care about me. And Aditya shouted at
I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah, no
muted.
worries. Yeah, so I went to St. Joseph's Academy, which was one of those schools. So I did 6 years of education in Lucknow, 6 years in St. Joseph's Academy, and then I magically, by chance, got selected in the Indian engineering competition. So as you know, in India, you take the JEE. Back in my day, it was this MNR, and so I got selected into MNR, and I went to an engineering university called Institute of Engineering and Technology right in my town in Lucknow, UP, which was basically the reason I got into computer science. And I was there for finish my 4 years. I went to Chennai to work at TCS for many years. Oh, sorry. That was my first job at TCS, for 4 years, actually. And then I did my first overseas trip ever, first plane ride ever to London. And I worked in London for a year through TCS, came back to Chennai for 2 years. And then beyond that, I came to America in 1996, and I've been here since. I did the first several years going to grad school in the evenings, but doing a technical job in the daytime. So I was a developer, programmer, systems application developer, at a few companies. And after that, once I got my grad school degree, which was an MBA in finance, I moved on to finance at big companies, Sun Microsystems, eBay, PayPal, and then the rest, as Priya mentioned. Then I went to Intuit. And after that, for the last 6 years, I've been in biotech, but the theme has been finance. So my journey is in three pieces. Number one is the technical journey when I was an engineer by trade. And then once I got my finance MBA, the second part of my journey was to do finance in large companies. And then the third part of my journey is biotech, as well as doing finance for startups and getting to know how so many of us, as we get older, you hear everyone starting their startup. So I'm not that brave, but I decided to associate myself with some of these people who are doing that to see what's under the hood. And obviously with no expectations of getting rich or anything, but just to understand what is life like in those startup stages that you hear everyone around you is fundraising. So I got a feel of that. All of that I'm talking about is the last 6 years: startups, biotech, and taking a lot of risks and questioning how I'm using my time in more detail. So that's maybe a very long answer to Priya's question.
No, no, no. That's great because we had not discussed the startups in our prep call. So we're going to talk about that very soon. So, um, Rina, you and I met while we were at eBay, and I remember like life in finance is kind of crazy. And I know Shri is here, and Shri will attest to this because whenever I would see you, you'd be like, "We're in closing this week, so let's chat after closing." So it would always be like, "We're in closing this week." So life in finance is very, very high pressure. How did you decide to switch from tech to finance? Not that tech is any easy, but how did you make that decision, the very brave decision, growing up as a techie? How did you make the decision to switch? Because that is one of the things that is it's one of those things, right? Like as an adult, you're in a safe place. You don't usually make those decisions to switch your career completely. How did you make that decision?
Well, a common theme along my life journey is I don't put a lot of thought into the switches I make. I operate based on the principle that you can only do what's available to you. You can only do the graduation major that's actually available to you. So your choices are limited by what's in front of you. If you are in Antarctica, you're not going to get hot idli dosa sambar. That's not what you're having for lunch. If you are uh, in Mohibullapuram, Lucknow, you can have chaat. So my choices are always limited by what's available. So that was a common theme. So I was going to grad school in the evening, and all my classes were picked based on what is available. Not because I want to do finance, so I need to come in on this extra. No, no, no. I'm only coming these 2 days, what's available. Then finance happened. Then my question was, oh, it's the height of the dot-com boom. What do I want to do with finance? And then it was my life has run on my network, to be honest with you, because I still recall, and sorry to take you guys down memory lane, you guys are super young probably. I graduated from my MBA in Santa Clara University on June 8, the year 2000. The dot-com was going crazy. September 11 hadn't happened. And I remember writing that one email to this classmate from Santa Clara University who used to work at Sun Microsystems. And I said, Vijay, what am I going to do? Now I have this degree. Are you hiring at Sun? And I remember within like a month, he said, come sit down. He sent 2 emails. He was very busy. Sun was going crazy at the time. It's now since been out of business. But he sent 2 emails to 2 people who were hiring junior financial analysts. I had already worked for 11 years. I didn't even want to know what the salary is. My goal was, hey, I have this brand new degree. Can I go work and use it? One of those 2 people, very nice boss of mine, still have lunches with him. He hired me, and it was at the bottom of the food chain, financial analyst, um, and and so I started moving work for finance. So I think a lot of the decisions we make, we have to just look at the happiness angle. I followed my decisions based on convenience and happiness angle. So yes, this is the major that fits with the classes that I'm doing, then that's going to be my major. These are the 2 jobs that I can easily apply to through my network. Okay, one of them, I'm going to take a chance. And if it doesn't work out, move away from it. It's okay. Life is long. You can make some U-turns. It's all right. I mean, you don't have to go up and to the right. Lots of people's journeys are like a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit. So, and you don't have to judge yourself all the time. And sometimes, so to answer your question, it was total happenstance, and as is the theme that you will see emerging in this conversation. A lot of things happened because they could happen, and other things didn't happen because they could not happen.
And what I see is there's two things, right? You're taking a chance on yourself, Number two, you were brave enough. I like what you said about not everything has to be up and to the right, right? That's kind of, it's programmed in our brain. Oh, everything has to be up and to the right. If not, you're a failure. And that's not the case. I mean, life
No.
happens. No matter what, life is going to happen, right? That's
Yes.
amazing. That is wonderful.
Let me kind of weave together that journey that we have now started with me getting my job at Sun Microsystems. And so I was at Sun for 4 years, and then it was kind of going sideways. So once again, I sat with this coworker in the coffee shop and said, "Where is everyone going?" Because people were leaving Sun, and we made a list of people of who went where, and one of them had gone to eBay. And so once again, sometimes we women, especially women, we think, oh, this one likes me, this one doesn't like me, this one has gone too far ahead, I shouldn't contact them for help. Oh, this one doesn't know anything. No, don't make any assumptions. Help will come from the most unexpected places. So I remember the name of the lady. We sat down, made a list of who had gone from Sun where, and we picked out a few places that we thought were good places. And one of them was eBay. So she said, oh, why don't we write to this person? We connected on LinkedIn, which was super new at the time. And that person just got my resume sent to some hiring manager in eBay. I went through a bunch of interviews, and now at this time, going into eBay, I had realized, hey, when I went to Sun, I went as a junior analyst. Wait a minute, I now have like 14 years experience. Why should I always seek this? Why shouldn't I negotiate? So I did something really funny. I went through 2 rounds of interviews. They threw me an offer, and I negotiated it for just like 5%. I said, not doing it. No, it's 5% too low, not doing it. And then I came back to work at Sun, and I was sitting with a guy from PwC, an auditor, and I just happened to mention, hey, I just turned down this offer from Mr. XYZ at eBay. I just said, because I had learned the lesson that, hey, I don't want to start at the bottom of the food chain each time. He said, what? You turned an offer from that person down? How crazy are you? I went running back to eBay and said, "Oh, you know what? Totally, no worries. I'm coming. It's totally fine." So that was sort of how I started at eBay, and then I ended up being there for 3 years. PayPal for 7 years. They were part of the same company, and this was basically, believe it or not, it was harder than grad school. It was harder than college because eBay and PayPal are not there to make your life beautiful and complete and tolerable. They are competing with the Googles and everybody else, and they are competing with the future. So they want extremely high engagement, high pressure. And then when you're done with it, please take a sabbatical or go somewhere else. Next high engagement, high pressure person can take over. But they were well-run companies. They had solid amenities and benefits. They kind of look out for you. The office is great. So, but they were extremely high intensity jobs. And so what I want to say to all of you is when you are in a high intensity job, there is no reason for you to put a goalpost that I should always stay in a high intensity job. No, there is no such thing. You'll see people who are 20 years at Google or 15 years at Facebook. Good for them. But you don't have to feel small or feel defeated because you didn't finish 20 years somewhere big. So I was going through that really intense time frame. Just get out of it. Not everything is someone else's fault or your fault or anyone's fault. But these are first world problems, if you guys agree, right? We are not worried about tomorrow's food or rent, or these are first world problems. If like you look at the big scheme of all the world's problems, you will find that you are among the 1% who has the minimum problems in the world.
I want to backtrack just a little bit because you said something very curious over there, which is specifically very important for this group. And you said that while you were at Sun Microsystems, you and someone else, I don't know who that someone else is, but you both sat together and you identified who were the people you knew in all these different companies, people who had moved from Sun Microsystems. That is a very important tactic and very important behavior to have found someone with whom you can do this. So tell us about who that was and was that someone, a coworker who you did that with? How did
Yeah.
that relationship work? Because that's great. if you can sit down with someone at work and identify, hey, what are the companies you're going to apply to, right? Because that's the kind of situation that people are in right now, where everybody's
Yes.
worried about their job. How did you build that trust with that person, and who was that person? I mean, meaning like, what was your
Yeah.
relationship with that person?
Yeah, so keep in mind, I was early in my career. I didn't have any kids or anything. So we had time, those were old, the way companies worked in the past, right? You come to the office, you do some work, you go for coffee, then you go to a meeting, then you do some more work, then you go to lunch, then you do some more work, then you go off to run an errand, then you go home. So that's how work was in the
Mhm.
2000s. So you had lots of time to interact with the coworkers. There was no mobile phones, or not, they were not that powerful at the time. So this was someone I ran into every day. She was my coworker. She was on my in our team. And our boss was very nice, the one who I still do lunches with. So everyone was very cohesive. He would make sure he would stop at each of our doors and say, lunch, lunch. So everyone would eat together. Even if you brought your lunch from home or you went to the cafe, everyone would eat together. So it was just one of those things that you are meeting this person every day anyway. But part of it is, as I recall that day, I remember exactly where I was. Um, it was basically just a sometimes you have to take a very logical approach that comes to your mind and not question if it makes any sense. So my mind had said, hey, everyone is going. We can look for a job in the big wide world outside, or we can go after the places where people from here have already been finding success going to. And so we chose, like, we just made a list. And of that list, I only contacted one person. I didn't contact 10 people. When you're early in your career, the next job is not that hard because it's a pyramid, right? So there's lots of jobs at this level, fewer, and that kind of thing. So it just worked out. But yeah, there is no replacement for networking, as you will see. And even though a lot of us want to hide in our blankets and apply on LinkedIn and Indeed, and I've done my share of that, but by statistics, my son's job was a network job, eBay was a network job, PayPal was internal transfer through obviously someone in eBay. Then Intuit was a recruiter job. Quicken was just like a spin-off. And then after that, my biotech jobs were all recruiter jobs. Um, they were all recruiter. And now a few startups that I helped recently and another role that I'm doing right now are all network related. It's people that I knew and I went out to. But as time goes by, for each new success, you have a lot more effort and lot more failures than in the past. And it's not because of you. It's A, because you're going up the pyramid a little bit. B, we are competing with a generation that's straight out of college and they've learned things that we didn't learn. So one of the things I did along the journey, I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, Priya, before, um, is continuous education. So
Mhm.
in 1990, I graduated from my engineering. In the year 2000, I graduated from my MBA. So in 2016, once this Intuit Quicken fallout was happening, I said, that's it. I'm taking 3 months off and I'm going to do this 10 course certificate at Stanford, which was all online. It was my way to go hide in front of my computer, but kind of refresh some of my skills. And yes, it has been useful. I mean, you get what you pay for. So 10 courses is not the same as a degree, but I already done my master's. So continuous education is very good. And it also takes your brain away from your troubles for a while, that you are now focused on this. When I say recruiter, what am I talking about? Basically, I reached out to these recruiters who specialize in my line of business and who place people in the kind of companies that I think I might want to work at. So you can find a list. Now you have AI at your discretion. You can have the voice mode on and just say, hey, give me the names of 5 companies who are hiring for this kind of jobs at these kinds of companies. And, Claude, ChatGPT, they are all very, very good at it. And the voice mode is amazing. So recruiters, I had some of them on my radar, and they took me to Yapstone. But then soon after, they came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do this 4-month contract at a company that was 900 steps from my house?" And it was biotech or life science. Like Priya said, my next foray was life sciences. And I was like, what can go wrong? But I've never done biotech or life sciences. And this is basically medical devices, pharma, drug development, gene therapy, autoimmune, and all of these small molecules, big, all of the stuff that you hear, all of that is life sciences. So I was like, oh, I haven't done that. What can go wrong? It's 4 months, it's next to my home. And it worked out really amazing, ladies, because as I said, the speed and the environment in biotech is very different than big tech. Everyone is a PhD, everyone respects you, nobody double books your calendar. Everyone knows that they give you what you ask for and they don't critique you. They don't take it as this is my fight. If I win this fight, I'm the winner, someone is the loser. They look at everyone winning. At least that's my experience from working in 3 biotechs so far. So that was my foray into biotechs. Yeah.
So before we get from there to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, you mentioned identifying A players versus B players.
Yeah. So I would say you either have those people in your immediate role around you and oh my gosh, this one looks out for me, this one solves my problems, this one helps me take accountability, I feel safe. But let's say there's no one of that nature in your current job. You can see it around you. You can see that, oh, so and so took 3 weeks off, no problem, and their boss really looks out for them and they still got a promotion. And this, so you have a sense of who's in a happy place and who is in a challenging place. So those people, by having a feel for them. So that's the first test. And then, but don't, in my opinion, validate everything. So you may think that someone's really looking out for you, and you might spill a lot of beans with them, and you may say, "Oh, you know what? Things are really going well for my spouse's job, and we are planning to take a 2-month vacation. And can you just cover this for me?" Something like that. So I would say don't trust people based on 1 or 2 experiences. That's another. That's not what you asked. Another thing I want to say is, especially for women, maybe that shouldn't be the case, don't bring your personal life struggles into the workplace because not everyone treats it with a lot of respect. Very quickly, it can get termed as baggage. You are not going for a doctor's appointment, you are going for an appointment. Or make it more abstract and say, oh, I'm out of the office 2 to 3. Now, it could be anything. It could be for a networking coffee. It could be for a mammogram. It could be for anything. So don't share the details that put you in a box. Until you are extremely close. If someone you worked with for 7, 8 years and they're really on your side, yes, you tell them you're going for a certain appointment. But keep your troubles to yourself, because after the first time, people don't have sympathy because everyone has something going on. And like I said, these places are a high intensity. They need someone high intensity with no troubles in life to do this for 3 years, step aside, let the next high intensity person do it, step aside. And so that they can't take you end to end like the old companies like IBM and such, where they let you like, oh, now you need a pause, oh, now you want to grow. So it's not existing anymore because of just the way Wall Street works. So to answer your question, basically, sorry, what was that? Remind me again.
How do you identify the A players versus
Oh,
the
the
B
A players.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the A players, you will see who is growing, who is doing magical things. Another quality of A players is they will treat you well and with respect. So if you are in the process of doing your job, if you are approaching 10 people to give you inputs for your presentation or any other report, you will see who is treating you well. So one quality is that they will generally treat you nicely, A players. Second, they will always be able to support what they do. They'll be very efficient. And you can tell there were a few people in eBay back then, which I could like, oh, this person is really good. And right now they went on to go do great things. So it's the overall 360 degrees. And the B players are, you will see them. So first time you'll think, oh yeah, maybe it was really my mistake. Next time you'll see, oh, they're treating someone else differently than how they just treated you. Third time you'll see that, oh, they are like either gossiping or trying to do political maneuvers. So you will know, but give everyone at least two chances. For example, if you ran into me and I was a little, let's say I was having a bad day and I was like, oh, I really don't know, you have to go ask someone else. Now, if I brushed you off, give everyone two chances. In the second time you approach them, you have a mental alert up that I think these people might be a certain type, validate it. Because who you think might be A players may not be as such, who you think B players, because I've had this multiple times that I could have written someone off as not my friend, not on my side, will not do something for me. And then when I approached them the second time, they were more than all of that. So give two chances to people. Don't draw conclusions in one experience. Maybe even give three sometimes. So those were A players are picture perfect execution, and they are always available, always respectable, and they are moving things along. And you can tell who is a person who is a good collaborator. So those are the A players. And B players are leaning more on politics, leaning more on posturing. They don't care that things are efficient. They just want their territory to be preserved and their work-life balance to be exceptional. Yeah.
Awesome. So before I pivot over to the next part of this, I do want to open it up for questions. There's so many questions I can bring up, but let me give it to the audience.
Politics is everywhere, and not all of it is bad. When it's working in your favor, it's sometimes good, right? If your coworker lets you in on, oh, a new project is coming or three more headcount are being given to our group, you can take that political angle and make it like, oh, maybe I could make a pitch to have a head. So it all depends on the environment. Now, let's say you're in a bad environment and politics is going on. I would say, um, I would say even more important to not bring your personal issues into the workplace at that time, and be very careful. Just make sure you address and approach things from your goal standpoint. You always start with, oh, I'm going to have to put out a new forecast at the end of this month, so I need this from you. And this is a person that politically is bad mouthing you or something bad is going on. I would say keep it somewhat in writing. Sometimes we do too much over Slack, and what happens is you can never find anything in Slack or Teams or wherever you have your chat. And a lot of these people will not want to put anything in email, but you say, hey, keep on, and especially with your leadership, without being very finger pointing, make that space uh, transparent to your leader. For example, let's say you have one business partner that's very cooperative, very transparent, and this other one is never giving you anything or saying your reports are wrong or your numbers are wrong. So when you give your update, I mean, you've read it, but if you say this exactly to your boss, you are taking your problems to your boss. You, as much as possible, don't take problems, take solutions to your boss. And also in that process, narrate the problems because they want you to solve your problems. So you can say, hey, I'm open to your suggestions, but we are putting together this binder, this business operations deck, and I'm totally confident that I'll get the inputs from party A by in time. And they're generally very good about explaining everything. Party B looks like they're kind of busy, and I'm getting the sense we might not get it. But do you have any meetings with them? Could you like nudge them a little bit? So you find some air cover from your management. Now, if your management is not cooperating, so let's say your management is on the side of this party B, and they all politically aligned and they have no interest in seeing you succeed, then sometimes the personal touch works well. And sometimes it's a really hard thing to get them to meet you on a one-on-one basis. So it's not
Yeah.
that easy because they just won't want to, they will not accept your invite or not show up. And so sometimes you just take that personal attempt and then just frame it in writing to say, hey, looks like you're tied up. We couldn't meet. The only thing I wanted to bring up is if I could just discuss this with you. And, but, please call me anytime that you have some time and put your email or whatever, like your phone
Yeah.
number. So you have to pretend that everything is perfect between you and this person when it's very obvious to you that things are not perfect, because there's no way out from making it messy. If you told them that, hey, you stood me up at the meeting, you're the only one who didn't send your slides, what am I supposed to do with you? If I had all of the people like you, I would never get anything done. Once you burn that bridge, you know that you're never coming. So you have to keep it very civil. And let's say they still didn't send it, then you just start advertising to the larger group. Say, hey, the deck is 90% there. I'm just waiting on some slides, primarily from this area. Great job, everyone who sent everything. You have to kind of find ways to uh, reward and acknowledge the people who are doing. And at some point of that food chain, there'll be someone that they don't want knowing that they are falling and slipping or giving you a hard time. But then behind the backs, when you have your one-on-one with your manager, you can slip it in. You, instead of saying, hey, this person's never co-op, you say, one of the things I'm trying to work on is influencing people. For example, I have these people who work really well with me. There are some people, I'm sure they're super busy, but sometimes it's a little harder to get them to do something. Do you have any tips? And you can, that way you narrated the message, but almost as a cry for resolving the problem, not like saying, hey,
I like
this is the
that.
problem, what do I do? It almost makes us live like a secret life, which should not be the case. So as you go into companies where you know your manager and your coworkers much better, you can bring it up.
Yeah.
But like my rule of thumb is, like, I took a week off in July and I'm taking a week off in August. I am not talking about my week off in August. Let's say someone says, oh, maybe we can have this meeting in the first week of August. That's the week I'm out. I am not mentioning that. It's on my calendar. The more number of times you mention you're out that certain week, people's brains are going, oh, you're on vacation again. Then
Yeah,
you'll
where are
come
you
from the
going?
vacation,
Yeah.
you'll bring some chocolate. Oh, she was on vacation again. So just let until someone says, hey, are you available on August 5th? We are going to be having this. Then you say, no, I'm not. But don't keep bringing it up, because I know people who bring up everything. Oh, I can't do that because I'm hanging out with this one. And then it looks like, oh, the whole world doesn't have to revolve around your personal things. So less personal stuff, the better.
Yeah.
Even though it feels a little fake, because when we grew up, we were in families, everybody knew everyone, right? So it's a little bit fake, but I think it saves you trouble later. And a lot of these people, especially the younger generation, they say nothing about their personal stuff. They don't have a single personal artifact at their desks if they are on site. You don't even know if anybody sits at that desk. Whereas Priya, you'll remember, we'll have family pictures and little plants and little knickknacks. Everybody goes on vacations, brings little knickknacks to the coworkers. Now all of those are decorated. Your whole personal life was on display in your cubicle or office. Whereas the current generation, they don't use a monitor. They pick up their laptop and they leave. You don't know who sits here, what they like. They're like poker faced. I mean, I'm talking from my teenager. She's literally nothing can be extracted from her about her day.
And they
Not
only
possible.
talk on Slack. They don't like personal interaction. They don't like face-to-face interaction. They only talk on Slack. And so you don't know who's communicating with whom, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
it's all under the hood. No one knows what's happening. And you don't know if
yes.
they're in your camp or not, because they will
You
never.
don't. One of the thing is demand the growth. Nobody is going to come and promote you. It's not happening. The last time I was promoted without asking for it, was 2003. And that's not even true because someone else I know got promoted and my boss was unaware of it because there was a freeze on promotions. Well, but I just said, hey, I heard this one got promoted. And he was so mad. He was like, oh my gosh, we agreed for a promotion freeze, a salary freeze. What's going on? Okay, boom, he got me promoted. That's the last time I was promoted without asking. So for this growth, seek out the growth for yourself. Keep at least to create awareness that you're looking for a growth and a promotion. The first thing you, as you know, you ask is, hey, what do I need to demonstrate for that next level? Or this next person's doing pretty much what I'm doing, plus a little bit of something here. I would like to similarly expand. Please lead me into projects that might make that happen. And by the way, this other stuff I know really well. I'm happy to carve this out to someone more junior. So you have to demand it. And you'll be, once again, it'll be politics and it'll be, oh no, you're not quite there. Oh, this so and so said that you need to work on this a little bit. That's all. Basically, you're getting the signal that this person is not really in your camp, because the person who's in your camp is, sure, I'm looking out to promote these three people on my team, and let's see, maybe you can lead this project. Now you know this is a person in your camp. So that's also a way to tell if someone's in your camp, is you will have to demand the growth. Nobody's going to come and promote you. And the only other way to get growth is to go to another role, or when you are negotiating for a new job, please, I mean, this is another thing Priya and I didn't probably catch on, but one of those courses that I did for that Stanford certificate, that my third tier of education, was negotiations, how to get more of everything. And that was like a course that more than paid for itself. What it says is, you should always negotiate in every situation. And I have done it every single time in every single scenario outside of work. It always works. So when someone's negotiating, like let's say you're having your end of year review and they gave you 3% raise. Now you say, hey, this is great. What was the average raise? Okay, average was 4%. So why am I 3%? Oh, you are already along this percentile, so we couldn't give you over a certain number. Always ask, show interest that you are watching this stuff really closely and you are making a note of it. And then when you go out to get another job, negotiate on all the fronts. So speaking of growth, let's say you're going into a lateral job. You can set up that, hey, I really wanted the job next level up, but can we agree to demonstrate certain accomplishments in the first 6 months so we can have a binary nuclear discussion at that time? So otherwise, if you're going like, okay, yeah, for sure, as I demonstrate results, will I have the opportunity to be promoted? And they'll all say, of course, yes, for sure. And then when the thing comes, uh, too many things will come out of the closet and they will. So have things concretely established. Always ask for more money, more stock, more time off when you are joining a company, more sign-on bonus, because if it doesn't happen, it's okay. At least you asked. But if you'll be surprised how many things they'll say yes to, because at that point, the recruiters, the HR, the hiring manager, they have all put so much effort going through the hundreds of resumes, and you are at this negotiation stage. You don't want to, they won't lose you for 25K here or there, you know? So always demand everything. And like I tell my friends who I'm mentoring, a few people, I tell them, please don't put time off for next week. You will annoy the people. Put time off in the calendar for 2 months out from now, even if you don't know what you'll do in that time off. Just put it there, because look around you. All these people are gone all the time. And all of us work even when we are off to some extent, right? You're doing that anyway. So put that time off, decide later what you'll do. You can move it around, but you are the only one who's going to make sure you took 5 or 6 weeks off this year, because nobody's going to come to you and say that. So the growth, not just in the career growth, and then it goes without saying, learn something new. If a coworker is peeling off and they do accounting and you've never done accounting, step into it. How bad could it be? You're like, hey, I'll do it for 3 months. You will learn a whole new thing. It'll go in your resume, and now suddenly you know accounting. So take those calculated risks and I can have many other things for growth. Yeah, constant learning, and yeah, so yeah. Yeah, no, makes total sense. I mean, yeah, just find them on those informal occasions and say, hey, how's everything going? What do you think we might be doing that's exciting next year?
Yeah.
Or, I know we're making these inroads in AI. How do you think? Ask some something to show that you're curious about all this stuff on the horizon. How do you think we'll have to reorganize for AI in finance? Something like that. I mean, yeah, there's again, if they are on your side, they'll be very encouraged. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
So from what you said, Rina, I got two takeaways. One is know what you're worth, right? When you're
Yes.
negotiating, whether you're in the company or whether you're in coming into the company being hired, um, know your worth and negotiate your way through it. And the second
Yes.
thing that I'm understanding is identify and be very aware of whether your boss is on your side or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to actually pivot away into something completely different, which I think is super important for this group and anyone who's listening to this and those who are here. I really encourage you to talk about this to others, what Rina is about to say, which is there was a point in time where you did not have a job, right?
Yeah.
And you told me about something which really blew my mind about how you decided to find another job. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell me about this coworker you worked with and what you did.
We decided how should we do it. So we said, let's brainstorm this. And I have a big giant whiteboard because sometimes we are too focused in one direction, but we have to look at all the possibilities all around us. So we decided to whiteboard my job search. And in that job search whiteboarding, we learned so much about this. Like I looked at all the things that can happen. Number one, I may never work again. Number two, something might happen from my network and I may just keep growing. Something beautiful might come. Another recruiter might send me something, or I may just work free for the startups. So which of these might happen? Once you lay things out, you can start populating. So if I never work again, what does that look like? Do I want to go and spend 6 months in India with my parents? Or do I want to be 100% full time? All the possibilities below that. Oh, if I go to a big high flying company, and my teenager is demanding and I have too many things on my plate, what does that look like? Maybe I need more dedicated help. Maybe we need some outsourced services. So we whiteboarded all the scenarios. Maybe it's going to be a recruiter job. Who are the recruiters? When is the last time I contacted them? Can I send them an action oriented email to say, hey, please, can you tell me the top 5 jobs that you think I might be a fit at? So we made this whiteboard of all the scenarios, and then we acted on it for me, for my search. And that was really awesome because it gave you clarity that all these outcomes can be meaningful. It may be just as great to not have a job and do that home remodel, spend 6 months with your parents, um, take care of your health, be more present for your teen, and all those are important. Similarly, if I went into a high flying job, outsource many more home activities, get your kid a new bike, things like that, so they can self-serve themselves. So whiteboarding put things in perspective. And then similarly, not too much later, but not related to just the job, we use the same whiteboarding session to decide what I was going to do for we were planning to move for a better high school for my daughter. And so we did a whiteboarding session, Priya, and and everyone for that matter. And we laid out what we wanted. We want to be within 1 mile of the school so my daughter can bike safely. And then we came to the conclusion that all this while we were looking for a single family home when really all we could afford was a townhome. And that's where I am right now. So it became clear based on where, once you have all the different scenarios lined up, visible in front of you, you can make much better decisions, more granular decisions, is was my finding. So try whiteboarding. Try whiteboarding at home, write everything down. Don't judge that, oh no, this can't be done. No, no, no. What do you need to believe to make something happen?
That is
Yeah.
brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. I'm sure there are people who do that already, but to me, for my personality, I found that really brilliant because it's very organized, very structured, and it gives you, it is actually more creative because it actually allows you to think through all the different possibilities, right? And
Yeah.
and you also mentioned reaching out to recruiters. Now, we do have a recruiter, Hira, over here, and I've never thought of actually making relationships with recruiters. So, what did that look like? So, you went out and contacted a recruiter and you decided to ask them for help, saying, hey, what am I fit for? Right. And that is also, I don't see that happening very much. And now, in this environment where people are struggling for jobs, that could be the one way in which you stand out. Is that right?
100%. I mean, the best thing about the recruiter is they're not bringing in their points of view of you. You are a, a paycheck for the recruiting community. If they place you, they immediately start getting a markup on your hourly rate. If you're a contractor, they get 25% of your annual base salary in at least California if you are a full-time employee. So they don't look at you like, oh, she's in her mid 40s. Oh, she has all these personal. They look at you as a project. And their job is to get you a job. And you will be so surprised how recruiters will convince and empower you that you can do something that you in your heart think, oh, I don't know this. I've never used SAP. They'll say, no, we have people who have used SAP working for us. We will put you in touch. We'll get you training. They are such a shot in the arm. They are not going to bring you down. So when you go up the pyramid, they come in really handy right around in this middle section. Because to them, you're not a brown person, you're not an Indian woman, you are a candidate. And their job is to convert a candidate into an employee and for everyone's benefit. So they're not carrying around baggage about like some of your network people might, or your former boss might, or your former coworker who's secretly competing with you might. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
Did you have a
yeah.
comment on that?
Well, as much as I've experienced, thank you so much, by the way, Rina. It's been incredible listening to you. But yeah, 20 years in recruiting, but a lot of my job has been in corporates. So it's a different take on it. But yes, in terms of like the behaviors of like what we're looking for, and then I don't get any commission working in a corporate, obviously, because I'm like
Yeah.
trying to get you inside my company. But yes, the biggest takeaway is we are definitely your biggest champions and cheerleaders. There is
Right.
definitely
Yeah.
a lot of value in like finding, with all the effort that we are doing, if you are reaching out to us and if you have the right kind of background. Even if you don't have the right kind of background, there's so many like multiple conversations that I would have, sometimes just picking up the phone. And I have a little bit more of an interest when it's an Indian person, to be very honest with you. I remember somebody I helped out like back in 2005, it's been 20 years, at Google, and she was looking for a job, and I was like, she had just come from Dubai, and she's like, I don't know how to get into HR here because I've done some work out there, but I'm like, it's going to be hard at this point in time without any experience. But I was able to talk to her about like SHRM, some of the other organizations she could join, and the certification she could take. And now she is actually working really well at Adobe, and she is like a director of HR. And even now we have chats. And the fact that all you need is one person on your side, that's what I learned
Yes.
as well. And sometimes that could be a recruiter, only if nothing else, from the perspective of like having seen so many candidates, seeing what their journeys have been. And there might be a way for you out there that you yourself may not be able to see, but having that kind of a holistic idea and seeing so many people go through that, they're always going to at least help you out. Second point is offer negotiations. Absolutely. I've never seen in 20 years a single employer ever rescind the offer or withdraw the offer just because you ask for more money. And we women don't do a good job, especially Indian women. So one of the biggest thing is absolutely know what you're worth and ask for it. What's the worst that can happen? You might get a little bit or
Yeah.
maybe nothing, but at least you know that you tried. So I love that point and the fact that you have gone through it. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, and thanks for adding. So that's an internal corporate recruiter angle. That so what I was talking was external recruiters, people in the outside who are like placement agencies. The internal recruiters play a very different role too. I always encourage, if you apply for a LinkedIn job, if the recruiter is listed, make that connection. Then you can send a plug to say, because what's that recruiter doing? They have to read 50 in applications or 100 or 300, and they have to
5,000.
find the top 6 and then take top 6. So if you sent a more personalized email, chances are you could be one of those top 6. And so always make that connection with the internal corporate recruiters, because they are trying to work 25 different jobs, and they are just as motivated to fill these. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any Indian woman I would definitely invite, because I think there's perspectives from all sorts of people, and we are here to all learn. I think even if you're 70 plus, there's something to learn. If you're 17, also there's something to learn. So I know, Rina, we are out of time, but I had just one more thing to add, which was a beautiful, beautiful piece of perspective that you gave us. The coaching events, and that's how you get opportunities. You talked about that and you talked about learning and about how startups and fundraising works. And you talked about learning basically. And I want to close with that, because I feel that when we grow, as we grow, we feel like, oh, we've learned it all, right? We have a job, we start settling down. And I think the settling is a trap. It's a trap, because you're basically saying, I don't have anything more to learn. Tell us about your perspective on that.
Yes, that's totally true. Learning is very stimulating, and settling is a trap. The only time you can settle is if you have like a very high stress job, and you only learn within the constructs of it because you want to stay sane. But if you have the opportunity of even a few hours a month to learn something, um, go for it. So the reason the startups worked out for me is basically, like, when I was laid off last year, I was given this coach and these sessions they provide through these companies, where all the executive networking and this and that, and everyone introduces themselves. There are like 30 people on the session. So I made a mental note of which of these people are founding new startups. And sometimes they won't say it, but you look them up on LinkedIn, they all share their LinkedIn because they're all in the job market. But some of them are like stealth startup leaders. And so when I would introduce myself, I would just throw that in. Hey, since I'm not working right now, I'm open to providing pro bono finance help, which means free finance help to any of you or your friends who might be founders. And in that way, I got to learn of 3 startups in 3 different fields. And I'm still affiliated with 2 of them, where I went through their pitch decks and their financial models. And those were cutting edge new technology spaces all around AI. I mean, of course, I'm not making any money, and I didn't even bother with the share agreements and all of that. But that made me imagine, what would it take to throw you in front of the cutting edge thing? And they are very respectful because they're not paying you. They will go align with your calendar. They will help you learn. So I learned so much. All the AI I know right now is from those startups, the Notebook LM and Claude, like amazing things. I was learning of them as they were coming out because these startups were on the cutting edge. So that's a great vehicle to throw yourself in. So if you're not in one of those executive connections thing, what you can do is you can do a search on LinkedIn, write Series A, Series B, seed startup, stealth startup, and see who are all in your network who are in stealth startup, and just send a feeler over. Say, hey, I would like to allocate a few hours a month to learn about startups and contribute from HR or finance or accounting perspective. If you need help, we should talk. And those people who want help will reach out, and ignore the ones who don't reach out. There's plenty of people who will ghost you, and that's totally fine. They're going through other life gyrations. It's totally fine. And I know Priya mentioned we are closing up. One thing I want to mention, just like when I was raised in high school and my family and all the way through education and work, take that thought off your mind that you are an Indian woman. Because believe me, in my opinion, I mean, in my opinion, maybe you don't have to believe me, that applies more when we are in India, than it applies here. I feel that the field is much more level here, and we only do ourselves a disservice by putting ourselves in a box of Indian woman. Uh, I have seen people with really long first name and a really long last name being accepted, welcomed, thriving, and shining, because everyone in America, 27% of people in California were born somewhere else. So it's not a factor. Yes, there might be times when suddenly it became a factor for a little bit, but more often than not, it's just our imaginary roadblock. Take that off. Like I said, I'm the only girl on my mom's side who went on to accomplish, and I did better than all the other three guys. So yeah, don't hold that against you. Don't take it out of your filter that you are an Indian woman. You are a professional, whether you are 25 or 65. You have an opportunity if you raise your hand and shake, and keep your network very close, and give people second and third chances. But then after that, don't give no more chances. Yeah.
I love that. And I totally believe in that, reaching out and offering to do things for free, because that is how you learn. The knowledge, in exchange for your work, you're getting knowledge. And that is priceless. That is absolutely priceless. Whether it's going to be used in the future or not, it's still absolutely priceless, right?
Yeah.
Any closing questions, folks? If not, Rina, this has been an honor. I love seeing you and talking to you after all these years. I always had fun working with you. Like, I think those were the golden days in my career when I used to work with you. So thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be part of this group, and you guys will see me as an attendee in the future sessions, so you can hit me up later as well. Okay, very nice. Everyone have a fabulous evening or afternoon or morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.